In this lecture, we are going to discuss on heat transfer from extended surfaces. Here in this example, you can see that heat is transferring from one body which is at a temperature T1 to another body which is at a temperature T2, and these two are connected by this body. Okay. Now here you can see this is made of a solid material through which heat will be transferred, and during the transfer of heat from this body to this body, you can see that outside this metal, here it is basically the fluid which is flowing. So during this conduction, as well as with the conduction that will pass through this solid body, some heat will be convected out to the fluid. So at the same time, both conduction and convection, these two kinds of heat transfer will take place, and this is the reason that for this particular situation will be different in terms of its analysis and temperature field. As you can see that for this particular case, even if the cross section is uniform throughout, when heat is transferring from here to here, since along with the conduction convection is taking place, then the temperature distribution, as you can see, that it is not a straight line that we have seen in case of a plane wall. So now we are going to study this particular situation. So the most frequent application is one in which an extended surface is used specifically to enhance heat transfer between a solid and an adjoining fluid, and such an extended surface is termed as fin. That means that many times it is intentionally use this kind of extended surfaces to enhance the heat transfer. As you can see in this figure, that there is a body maybe like this, and here you can see the orange color surface through which ultimately heat is transferred to the outside fluid. Here you can see by convection. Now if we want to increase the rate of heat transfer from this body to this fluid, then what we can do, we can put some extended surface at the body, as you can see in this particular figure, that two extended surfaces, as you can see in this figure, has been introduced, and the orange color you can see. So in this way the heat transfer area actually increases. As the heat transfer area increases, definitely the heat transfer from the surface is going to increase. Okay, so this is what is the advantage many times we see in practical applications of using this kind of extended surfaces to enhance the heat transfer by increasing the surface area, and this kind of extended surfaces are called fins. So in this particular chapter we'll analyze fin, we'll see that how to find out the temperature distribution along the fin. Okay, we'll find out what is the rate of heat transfer through the fin. Okay, so here you can see some of the practical application of the fins. Here you can see that liquid is flowing through the tubes, and outside the tubes you can see the annular fins are there. These are nothing but the extended surfaces to enhance the heat transfer from this fluid to the outside gas. Maybe this is a part of a heat exchange equipment where through the tube maybe some liquid is flowing and it is required to exchange heat with the gas, and in that case along with the tube there is certain extended surfaces in the annular form, so that the heat transfer between this gas and the liquid increases. Here you can see another flat kind of tubes are there. Here you can see these are flat tubes, and around these flat tubes basically extended surfaces which are shown by the orange colors. These are basically the fins or the extended surfaces to enhance heat transfer between the liquid which is flowing through these flat tubes and the gas which is flowing outside. Okay, so some of the pictures here you can see the annular fins are present outside this tube. Here you can see this second picture where you can see this is a radiator, where the radiator tubes you can see, and outside this radiator tube you can see that extended surfaces, thin surfaces, which are basically acting as a fin to enhance heat transfer between the hot water which is flowing through the tubes and the outside air. Here you can see you have seen this thing in the air conditioner unit where maybe evaporator or the condenser, this kind of you can see that the tubes are there. Through the tubes basically the refrigerant is flowing, and outside you can see the thin fins are there to enhance heat transfer from the outside gas, maybe outside air, and the refrigerant that is flowing inside the tubes. Here you can see some of the tubes where outside pin fins are there, where the pins are size of small cylindrical shapes maybe, okay, or in the shape of pins. So these are there to enhance the heat transfer. So these tubes are actually used in some heat transfer equipments. Here you can see in this picture, this is the picture of a motherboard, and if you look carefully in this region, this is basically the position where you can see the CPU is actually attached with the motherboard. So CPU, you know, it's made of lot of transistors are there within the CPU, so the heat that is generated within a very small space, so the heat that is generated is very high with respect to the area. That is why it is required to save this electronic devices, or to increase the life of this device, it is required to dissipate the heat properly. And for that you see that exactly above this position you will find that this kind of heat sink is present. Here you can see in the bottom side it is basically heat sink, where through which may be made of some aluminum or aluminum alloys, because they having the very high thermal conductivity as well as very thin, okay, so that they can act as a fin. And not only that, to increase the heat transfer coefficient H, basically there is a fan, and that fan helps to increase the value of H by forced convection. So this system is situated, the whole heat sink along with the fan is situated just above the CPU to dissipate heat properly from the CPU. So here you can see some of the applications. Here you can see these are also different kinds of heat sinks, okay, a simple flat plates kind of a thing, extended surfaces. Now see the different kinds of fin shapes, configurations. Here you can see this is a straight fin. Here you can see the cross section area of the fin, which is constant as you go along the x direction. The cross section is not changing, and the cross section is width into thickness, W into T, which is basically this is what is W, and thickness is this vertical height. So that cross section is a rectangle, and that is constant along the x direction. So this is a straight fin with uniform cross section. In the second figure you can see here you can see a non-uniform cross section. Continuously cross section is decreasing, as you can see. Third figure is the annular fin. As you can see, this is the annular fin. And next here you can see this is what is the pin fin. You can see the cross section is gradually decreasing like this. So this is called pin fin. So these are the different basic configuration of the fins. Now let us find out the governing equation for the fin. Remember, our basic governing equation is nothing but the conservation of energy, and we are going to use the Fourier's law of heat conduction, that's all. So governing equation of the fins to find the temperature distribution along the fin. So if you remember, our governing equation is always E dot in minus E dot out, and for the time being we are not considering any generation term. Suppose there is no generation term, so generation term is not there, and also we are considering it's a steady state condition, so there is no other term present. So now you take a very small control volume. As you can see in the picture, we have taken a small control volume that is shown by this orange color, and here that control volume is shown in a magnified way. So with this control volume, if you see the E dot in and E dot out, it is clear that you can see that along x direction, as we are considering again the one dimensional situation, that means we are considering only in one direction the heat transfer is important. So if this is the condition, then the only E dot in is Qx. Let us consider this position is x. So Qx is basically the rate of heat that is coming into this small control volume. Then what is going out, the thing that is going out is Qx plus dx. It is clear, Qx plus dx. But along with that, this is the region, this is the surface through which heat is convected out to the outside atmosphere. Okay, so there is another quantity that is also fall under E dot out, so minus Q convection that is out here, and that is equal to 0 because there is no other term. So this E dot in minus E dot out term will become this one. Only thing is that this Q convection is written here, as you can see, that D of Q convection. Why the D of Q convection is written? The reason is that this convection heat transfer is taking place over a very small area. Over this very small area, it is not the total convection that is taking place over the whole surface area. That is why it is written that D of convection, that as if the small amount of convection that is taking place from that small surface area. Okay, so basically this is what is the energy. From energy equation we are getting this result, and if you just arrange these terms, you will find that Qx is equal to Qx plus dx plus D of Q convection. Okay, so now if you write all these terms, this is very simple, that what is Qx, just apply the Fourier's law of heat conduction, that is minus K into cross sectional area AC into dt dx. And what is Q x plus dx, that you can use the Taylor series expansion, that is Qx plus dqx dx. Instead of partial, it is the ordinary differential, because this q is only function of x, it is not function of time, because steady state it is not function of y or z, because we have considered one dimensional. So qx plus dqx dx into dx is qx plus dx. And what about the Q convection? Q convection, from the Newton's law of cooling, you know that H into the surface area. Here what is the surface area? Surface area is basically the small surface area shown by the orange color. So that surface area here is indicated by DAS. Okay, small surface area DAS into T minus T infinity. What is T? T is the surface temperature here. That means T is temperature at a distance x, that is T, minus T infinity. Okay, so if you put all these three terms in this equation, then what you will get is this quantity, that is ddx of AC dt dx, okay, minus h by k das dx into T minus T infinity, because that qx will cancel, only this part will remain, only this part will remain, and in place of qx basically this thing is used. Okay, and further here we have considered that k is constant, k is not function of x, that is why k is taken out of the differentiation and we have divided by k, and that is why the expression is coming like this. It is very simple, you just put these values there. So what you are getting is this as the equation. This is what is the governing differential equation to find out the temperature distribution along the x in the fin. And if you now expand this differentiation as you know, the formula for the product differentiation formula is the first you can consider this quantity is constant and differentiation of this one, then this one is constant and differentiation of this one. So if you do that, and if you divide both sides by cross sectional area, you will get this expression. Okay, so this is what is the equation that will describe the temperature distribution in the fin. If you can solve it with the proper boundary condition, you will get the temperature field. Okay. Now fins with uniform cross sectional area, this is definitely a special case. This is a special case. Now let us solve for the special case, that is fins with uniform cross sectional area. In this particular syllabus, we basically consider or concentrate on fins with uniform cross sectional area. If the cross sectional area varies, then definitely this second term will be non-zero, that term will be present, and to handle this term, to solve this differential equation will be bit complicated because Bessel function and other things will be required. But for the simplicity, we are not going to analyze that those problems where cross section is varying. So we are only restrict to this case, that where fins cross section is uniform. So uniform cross sectional area we are going to restrict in this region only. So if the cross section area does not change, then definitely dAc dx is equal to 0. Okay, because cross section is not function of x, so this part is 0. So our differential equation only have this first term and this third term. Further, if the cross sectional area is same through along the x, as well as the shape of the cross section is same, it is clear that cross sectional area, surface area, the surface area, what is the total, the total surface area AS is definitely is equal to P into x. So up to a length x, the surface area AS is equal to P into x, where P is the perimeter. As you can see, if you want to find out what is the surface area, then definitely this red line that I am drawing here is nothing but the perimeter. And if the cross section is not changing, or the shape of the cross section is not changing, so definitely to find out the surface area, the surface area is basically what? The surface area is basically this top surface, similarly bottom surface, this side surface and other side. So that we can easily find out by simply considering this perimeter. This total length is nothing but the perimeter here, so that perimeter multiplied by the x. So P multiplied by x is basically total surface area. So it is clear that if a surface area is Px, so definitely dAs dx, if you differentiate dAs dx, and that quantity is nothing but that quantity is nothing but only P. So this is one thing. And another one thing is that the cross sectional area, that means AC, if AC is cross sectional area, that cross sectional area is not changing with x. So dAc dx is equal to 0. So we have used these two conditions. So if we use dAc dx is 0, that is why this quantity is 0, and dAs dx is P, so you just put dAs dx as P, and if you do that, the equation will take this particular form, as you can see here. So this is going to be our governing equation under the special case where uniform cross section area is there. So always remember that under which assumptions you are deriving a particular formula. So that is very, very important, because when you are going to apply something in practice, always you have to keep in your mind that what are the assumptions you have used for that particular solution. So here this is the governing equation for the special case for the fin. Now the thing is that you have to solve this differential equation. So to solve this differential equation, let us first define something which is theta. So that theta is defined as T minus T infinity. Okay, what is T? T is basically the temperature at a distance x from the base of the fin. Okay, this is what is the base of the fin, as you can see in the picture, that TB indicates the base temperature. Okay, so from the base, if the length here is x, so at that position, at a distance x, the temperature is say Tx. Okay, so theta is basically indicates nothing but T minus T infinity. So this is one definition. Theta is equal to T minus T infinity. And another one, we assume that m square is equal to Hp by Kac. You will find that Hp by Kac, this particular term, we just club into one term which is given name m square. Okay, it is given m square. It is clear that this term Hp by Kac definitely a positive quantity, no doubt about it, and it is given m square because in the final solution you will find that square root of this quantity is coming in the expression, so that will help if we consider initially some square term. So anyway, so m square is equal to Hp by Kac, that we have just defined, and theta we have defined as T minus T infinity. So if you do that, then the equation will take this form, d2 theta dx2 minus m square theta equal to 0, and solution of this homogeneous differential equation is very simple, that is theta is equal to c1 e to the power mx plus c2 e to the power minus mx. This is what is the form of the solution. Now next thing is that to completely, if we know theta, remember, if we know theta, that means we know the temperature, because theta and temperature are directly related. Simply you have to add T infinity with the theta to get the value of T, exact temperature. So theta will be in this form, and to find exactly what is theta, so the last thing that you have to find out is this C1 and C2. How to get this C1 and C2? Definitely this C1 and C2 depends on the boundary conditions. Okay, so here another here you can see that here it has been defined that what is P, the perimeter. P is pi into d for this kind of a circular cross section fin, and the AC cross sectional area is the area of the circle, that is pi r square, as you know, or pi d square by 4. Okay, so let us see how can we find out C1 and C2. Now you see that temperature distribution at different boundary conditions definitely will be different. Depending upon the boundary condition, the C1, C2 will be different, and you will get the different solution. So the first boundary condition, definitely the first boundary condition is a Dirichlet boundary condition we are considering. That means at x is equal to 0, that means at this point where x is equal to 0, at x is equal to 0, we know the temperature is Tb. So Tb is the temperature at x is equal to 0. This is one information. So what is the value of theta at x is equal to 0? You can see the value of theta at x is equal to 0 will be, T will become Tb, that means the base temperature, Tb indicates base temperature, minus T infinity. Okay, so that we are giving a name, say theta b. Theta b indicates that the value of this theta at base, which is nothing but Tb minus T infinity. So this is one boundary condition, that if x is equal to 0, then theta will be equal to theta b. So if you put this boundary condition here, the first equation relating C1 and C2 will be theta b, and if you put x is equal to 0, this two term will be 1, so C1 plus C2. So we got one equation relating C1 and C2. To solve C1, C2, you need another boundary condition so that you can find out C1, C2 both. So now for the other boundary condition, we are going to consider 4 different cases. Okay, so 4 different cases will give you 4 different solutions. But the first boundary condition will same for all these 4 cases. And for the second boundary condition, let us consider the case A. The case A boundary condition, as you can see, this is what is the case A boundary condition. That is convection at the tip. So at the tip means the other end of the fin, which is the free end of the fin, there you are considering as if convection is taking place. That means the heat is transferred to the air or some fluid through convection. And that convection heat transfer, you can easily write that H into that cross section, into this cross section, that is AC, multiplied by the temperature at x is equal to L, temperature at x is equal to L, this quantity, minus T infinity. T infinity is outside fluid temperature. So this is what is the convection that will go out from the tip to the surface. Here we are only considering this cross section, that is the tip cross section, only this cross section, and that convection definitely is equal to the conduction heat flux which is coming at the surface. So what is the conduction heat flux which is coming at the surface? The conduction heat flux that is coming at the surface, according to the Fourier's law of heat conduction, minus K into dt dx at x is equal to L. That is what is the conduction heat flux, and that multiplied by the cross sectional area, if you multiply that by the cross sectional area, you will get that is the rate of heat transfer. And this rate of heat transfer, the conduction definitely is equal to this convection, because that surface cannot store any energy. Because the surface cannot store any energy, so the heat that will be conducted to the surface definitely has to leave the surface through convection. So the case A, the first for this one, the case A, the second boundary condition we are getting is a kind of a mixed boundary condition. If you remember, it is not a Dirichlet boundary condition or a Newman boundary condition, it's a mixed boundary condition, that is convection boundary condition, that is the heat that is transferred to convection is equal to the conduction coming here. So if you just write this TL minus T infinity as H into theta at x is equal to L is equal to minus K into d theta dx at x is equal to L, because T, as you can see, theta is equal to, theta is equal to T minus T infinity. So if you simply differentiate theta with respect to x, you will get this is nothing but dt dx. So d theta dx and dt dx are all the same. So dt dx at x is equal to L is same as d theta dx at x is equal to L. Okay, AC will cancel from both sides. Here you can see AC will cancel. So this is what we are getting. Now you simply put this result, because already you know this is what is theta. So write what is d theta dx and put x is equal to L in the expression, and that you write as h into theta at x is equal to L. This is, remember, what is the expression of theta. So put x is equal to L here, and that will give you the left hand side, and if you differentiate this expression and then put x is equal to L, that will give you this result. Okay, so this is basically the second equation you are getting. This is the second equation. Here is the first equation. Now what you have to do, you have to, sorry, this is not the first, this is the first equation. So now you have to solve it. Now you have to solve it. If you can solve 1 and 2, then you will get C1 and C2. You just put the value of C1 and C2 here in the final expression. Put the value of C1 and C2. You will get that it is coming theta by theta b is equal to cos hyperbolic. Here you see cos h means cos hyperbolic m into L minus x plus h divided by mk. Well, remember what was m that we have earlier defined. If you see this, remember this is what is m square. So m is basically square root of hp by kac. Okay, so here remember m is root over hp by kac, So and this hyperbolic function is basically indicates the exponential function. Here you can see the hyperbolic sine. Hyperbolic sine function is what? E to the power x minus e to the power minus x by 2. Here you can see hyperbolic cos function, e to the power x plus e to the power minus x by 2. And here you can see the definition of hyperbolic tangent function, and that is e to the power x minus e to the power minus x by e to the power x plus e to the power minus x. So in this way, basically these are basically exponential expression, but written as cos hyperbolic sine hyperbolic in this form. Okay, so this is what is the temperature distribution. A bit complicated expression, but this is what is the exponential relationship. So here the relationship, the variation of theta that you can see that is changing, it is not a straight line, rather exponential relationship, and that exponential relationship is given by this equation. So once you know what is theta, the second thing is you have to find out what is the rate of heat transfer to the fin, and that you can find out simply by in this way, that Q of fin is equal to QB. What is QB? QB is the rate of heat transfer at the base by conduction. So if you can find out this is QB, then that QB is definitely is equal to QF, because the heat that is transferred from the material to the fin is the total heat that will ultimately transfer through the fin. Okay, so QF is nothing but what is the Q base. So Q base, to find out the Q base, what you have to do, you can apply the Fourier's law of heat conduction, that is minus K cross sectional area at the base into dt dx at x is equal to 0. Okay, because x is equal to 0 indicates the base. So temperature gradient at the base you can easily find out, because already you know the temperature distribution inside the fin. So you just write this T in terms of theta, because the gradient will be similar in terms of theta, and already you know the expression of theta. So do the d theta dx and you will get this relation if you put x is equal to 0. So this will be the expression of Q fin. Okay, so finally this is what is the expression of the Q fin for the first case, where we have considered that the tip, it is the convection heat transfer taking place to the outside atmosphere. Now coming to the second situation, here we are considering the second boundary condition as the case B. The first boundary condition, remember, is the same, and that boundary condition is what? At x is equal to 0, theta is equal to theta b. That means the temperature is Tb. So for the second boundary condition, we are considering the case B, where instead of a convection from the tip, we are considering now it is insulated or adiabatic tip. That means at the tip there is no heat loss taking place. Okay, if this is the situation, then we can write definitely the conduction heat flux at x is equal to L. Here you can see this is the expression for the conduction heat flux at x is equal to L, and that quantity is equal to 0. Okay, so if you apply this thing, which basically means that temperature gradient at x is equal to L is 0, that means d theta dx at x is equal to L is 0. X is equal to L indicates the tip. Okay, so already you know the expression of theta, just differentiate with respect to it x and put x is equal to L, you will get this expression, and that is equal to 0 according to the case B, insulated tip boundary condition. So now you have two equations, this is one and this is the second, and from these two you can solve theta. That means you can solve C1 and C2, and if you put that C1 C2 you will get this theta. So you try this exercise to get these final expressions at your home, and if you find any problem, then definitely I will help you in the interactive class. So theta, you can see this is the temperature distribution along the fin. If the tip is insulated, it is cos hyperbolic m into L minus x divided by cos hyperbolic m into L, And remember what is m. Remember m is root over h convective heat transfer perimeter into a c, that means the cross sectional area, into k. Okay, so that is what is m, because remember we have assumed that m square is this thing, so that you always remember. So after getting this distribution, temperature distribution, next thing is to find out the QF. That QF again will be equal to QB, and for that you can apply the Fourier's law of heat conduction. And if you do, you know by the time that theta distribution, this is what is the theta, how changing with x. Just differentiate with respect to a x and put x is equal to 0, and you will get that QF is equal to this. It is very, very important formula. This is very, very important formula. You have to remember. This is important. The final expression of the fin in case of insulated tip you have to remember. Okay. Now consider the case C. Remember again, for this situation the first boundary condition is same. That means the base temperature is Tb. So at x is equal to 0, theta is theta b. And for the second boundary condition we are considering case C, and the case C is that known tip temperature. That means the tip temperature, it is not insulated, it may be convected from the outside, from the tip to the air or whatever, but what is known is that the tip temperature is given to you. That means a Dirichlet boundary condition is given in the other end of the tip. So in that case it is very simple, just apply this theta at x is equal to L is say theta L. So this theta L actually indicates that nothing but theta L is nothing but this is TL minus T infinity. Sorry, theta L is equal to TL minus T infinity. Okay, so if you this is the first boundary condition, this is what is the second boundary condition. Solve these two and you can find out C1 and C2. If you put C1 and C2 you will get the temperature distribution theta. Okay, so once you know the theta, the next thing is you have to find out QF exactly in a similar way. Find out at x is equal to 0 what is the gradient multiplied by k into AC. If you do that you will get, this is the expression for the known tip temperature, the rate of heat transfer. Now coming to this particular fourth one, this particular case, case D. Here the case 1 is exactly same, that is at the x is equal to 0, temperature is Tb, that means at x is equal to 0, theta is theta b. You will get this boundary condition, this relation. For the second case D, we are considering the very long fin assumption. Very long fin, if the fin is very, very long, that means L tends to infinity. Okay, so you just put if L tends to infinity, then theta L tends to 0. That means when a length is very, very large, it is assumed that gradually the temperature is decreasing from the base temperature, and since it's a very, very long fin, we are assuming that the tip temperature will become same as the T infinity. Okay, that means same as the outside temperature. If the outside temperature is T infinity, so the tip temperature will also become T infinity if length is very, very long. This is very important assumption. So for infinitely long fin, theta L will become 0, because theta L is nothing but T at L minus T infinity, and T of L actually become the same as the fluid temperature. So theta L becomes 0. Just put this, put L is equal to infinity here and put theta is equal to 0, then you will get this condition that will give you that final you can find out what is C1. That C1 will become 0. If C1 0, only C2 will be there, and C2 will be equal to theta b, so theta b into 2 minus x. So you can easily see this solution, that theta by theta b is equal to e to the power minus mx. This is very important formula. You try to remember. For very long fin, the temperature distribution will be exponential, and you can see that how the temperature is going to change. Again also we here also we can find out the Q fin exactly in a similar way. If you do this thing, you will get the final result that Q fin is equal to root over HP K AC into theta B. This is very important formula. Try to remember. The final expression for the Q fin and the temperature distribution for infinitely long fin, and previously we have seen the same expressions for the insulated tip, which is also very important. Okay, now coming to this particular here we can see in this slide that fin performance. Okay, so fin performance means whether the addition of fin is well justified or not, addition of fins are actually required or not. To take this kind of a decision, we have to see for the fin performance parameter. So fin performance parameter, the first we will see the effectiveness. Okay, so first we will see that whether fin is at all effective or not in a particular situation, and secondly we will see another fin performance parameter, which is the fin efficiency. Okay, that means a particular fin, how efficient that fin is. So two things we are going to see under the category of fin performance. First we will see the effectiveness, and second we will see the fin efficiency. So first we will see the fin effectiveness. Okay, so basically fin effectiveness and which is symbolized as epsilon f. So this is basically fin effectiveness. The definition of fin effectiveness has been given here. It is defined, it is means the effectiveness of fin is defined as the ratio of fin heat transfer rate, which is basically is QF. In last few examples, different cases we have actually derived for different boundary conditions what will be the value of QF. That means the actual heat transfer through the fin. So it is the ratio of fin heat transfer rate to the heat transfer rate that would exist without the fin. That means if there was no fin, then what would be the rate of heat transfer from the surface, and if there was fin, then what would be the rate of heat transfer through the fin. Okay, so ratio of these two, actually first you have to calculate, then QF upon the rate of heat transfer if there was no fin. This is what is called the effectiveness. Now this is very important because definitely we want this fin will be justified only if that the fin heat transfer is more than this one. Definitely if effectiveness is greater than 1, then only it can be justified, but practically it is hardly justified that unless otherwise the effectiveness is more than 2. Okay, so these are certain realistic picture that unless otherwise effectiveness is more than 2, it is not very justified to apply fins, because when you try to apply fins, that will incur lot of cost, may incur certain other factors also related to the design or the fracture related possibilities, fatigue related possibilities. Okay, so it is well justified in terms of definitely heat transfer, unless it should be more than 2. Now see, assuming how to find out the So assuming the convection heat transfer of the finned surface to be equivalent to that of the unfinned base. So if you assume that convective heat transfer will remain same, okay, so in that case actually you can see for the case D, this QF we know is what is the value of the Q fin in case of a infinitely long fin. We have seen that expression is root over HPK AC into theta B, and and here you can see this is the rate of heat transfer if there was no fin. If there was no fin, you just think of, let us consider if there was no fin. Let us consider this is the base area, A cross section at the base AC comma B, that means this is what is the base area. If there was no fin, then definitely through that area how much heat will be transferred through convection? That will be definitely H, that is the convective heat transfer coefficient, into area into theta B. Theta B means the temperature of the base minus temperature of the fluid. Okay, so this is what is the rate of heat transfer from the base to the fluid if there was no fin, okay, by convection. And at the top it is there if fin is there. Now if fin is there, in that case how much heat will be transferred? If fin is there, then how much heat will be transferred? That we have actually derived, that how to calculate QF for different cases. So that you have to put here, and you have to check whether this is more or not, more than 1 or not. If it is more than 1, then definitely it is effective, but for the practical situations fin can be justified if effectiveness is more than 2. So higher values of effectiveness is definitely we want. Now we'll want to see that which increases the effectiveness of the fin. What are the parameters on which we can judge that the effectiveness will increase? How we what will be the shape size of the fins so that the effectiveness will be more, or the fin material? So that we want to justify, and for that we have taken one case. Which case we have taken? We have taken the case D, where case D is for infinitely long fin with an expectation that that will give the upper limit of the fin heat transfer, because maximum amount of heat is expected to be lost in that case. So case D we have taken, and in case of a case D, you see this is what is the expression of QF. See, this theta B is not within the square root, theta B is outside the square root, only HPKAC is within the square root. So that QF you just put at the top in place of QF, and at the bottom if you write this thing, and that if you simplify it will become this one. Clear? It is very simple. But here is a problem, that if fins were there, in that situation the outside fluid, when the fluid is flowing outside, it will have a particular pattern of flow. But if fin is not there and the fluid is flowing at the same velocity, then there will be a different pattern. So if you consider the situations, the examples we have seen, that lot of fins are present and through which suppose fluids are flowing. So fluids passages are becoming smaller and smaller, and sometimes because of the fins there is hardly any places where through which the fluid can easily move. So when this kind of situation comes where the fluid cannot move well because of the presence of fins, actually what happens, this H is basically lower. Okay, so if H is lower, then definitely the H that you can see here and the H without fin are not actually same. Depending upon the geometry, since the geometry is changing when you are placing the fin and you are applying the flow, at that time it is a different geometry when the fin is not there, And remember, this H is not a fluid property, it depends on the flow velocity, it depends on the geometry and other things. So that is why actually H is not same. So it is not very easy that you are cancelling simply this H with this H. But if we assume, that is why in this paragraph it has been told that assuming that convection coefficient, that means the H of the finned surface, to be equivalent to that of the unfinned base, if we assume that, then definitely we can write that effectiveness expression will become Kp by HAC whole to the power half. Okay, so under that assumption, and if we consider this as the effectiveness of fin, that will definitely give you a guideline to selection of fin. How can we increase the effectiveness of the fin? So here it is clear that if the thermal conductivity is more, then effectiveness will be more. It is clear. So high thermal conductive material should be used as a fin material. So fin material should be selected such that its thermal conductivity is very high, and that is why maybe the high thermal conductive materials, copper will come to your mind, aluminium alloys will come to your mind, right? So but copper is not generally used because first of all it is very costly, second of all it is very heavy material, the density is very high. Okay, so many cases the equipments will be heavy, and that is not intended many situations. Copper is not the actual selection for the fins in most of the cases. It is the aluminium alloys which are commonly chosen material because of the high thermal conductivity as well as not so heavy. Okay, so this is what is the practical view regarding the selection of material of the fins. The second point, you can see that perimeter is at the numerator and cross sectional area is at the denominator. So definitely to increase the effectiveness of the fin, this ratio perimeter by cross sectional area should be more. If perimeter by cross section should be high, in that case if perimeter by cross section is high, that means in that case effectiveness will be more. So to increase the effectiveness of the fin, we need high ratio of perimeter to the cross sectional area, and which means that physically fins should be very thin but closely spaced. So very thin fin, closely spaced fins if you use, that will basically increase the perimeter as well as that will decrease the cross sectional area. Thin means the cross sectional area of the fin will decrease, and closely spaced fins, number of fins closely spaced, that will increase the perimeter. Okay, so thin and closely spaced fins actually increase the P by AC ratio, and hence it will increase the effectiveness of the fin. Finally, the H. Here you can see that if H is low, then fin will be more effective. It is clear that suppose you want to exchange heat from a device, and the situation is such that there is no fan, or the situation is there that hardly there is any flow of heat is present, or the fluid surrounding is or the situation or the geometry is such that H is not very high. So when this kind of situation occurs, and if you use fin, then definitely you will be benefited. But definitely if H is more, then definitely heat transfer will be more. But remember, if H is less in a situation, then effectiveness of fin you can definitely call is more. So the use of fin can be better justified under the condition for which the convective heat transfer coefficient is small. Okay, so it is evident that need for fins is strong. Need for fins is strong when the fluid is a gas rather than a liquid, because you know that in case of a liquid having in case of a liquid, the convective heat transfer coefficients generally are more. If you remember the different values or the ranges of the convective heat transfer in case of gases, liquids at different conditions that we were listed earlier, you will find that in case of gases the convective heat transfer coefficients are generally low if you compare with respect to the liquid. So you remember this thing, that when the convective heat transfer coefficient is small, there basically need of fins is more. When H is low, then the fins can be justified well. Okay, fin effectiveness will be more. So for example, if you just think of this situation, suppose there is a pipe, and through this pipe hot water is flowing, and your objective is to cool this water. Your objective is to cool this water, and that is why what you are doing, outside the pipe you are flowing air. Where this situation occurs? In case of a radiator. We have seen in case of a radiator, hot water is passing through the tubes, radiator tubes, and outside the tubes basically air are blown. Now in this situation, heat is required to transfer from this liquid water to the air. Now in this case, you have two choices of using fins. Either you can put fins outside the tube, or you can put fins inside the tube. Okay, so now inside it is liquid, outside of the tube it is air. In which side the fin will be more effective? Fin will be more effective where the convective coefficient is less. Here in case of air, which is a gas, convective coefficient is less, so fins will be justified outside the tubes. Fin will be justified outside the tubes. Inside it is liquid, so already liquid having high convective coefficient, so you do not need fin much. Okay, but outside it is air where H is less, that is why the fins should be there in the outside. So that is mentioned here, that in case of gas side basically fins are there with respect to the liquid side. And if the situations are such that there is a pipe, and through the pipe some gas is flowing, and outside also it is gas, and heat is required to transfer from the gas to gas, in that case maybe in both side, both in the inner side and in the outer side, fins are justified. So fins may be there outside the tube and as well as inside the tubes. Okay, for this kind of situations when heat may be transferring from a gas to gas. Okay, so these are the ideas. Just try to understand where from we are concluding all these things. From the expression of the effectiveness, we can justify the fins, its material, its geometry, or its application. Now another very important question, that what will be the length of the fin to consider infinitely long fin assumption. Okay, so for infinitely long fin, it is not actually physically infinitely long. So long means how much? How much long we will consider that it is considered as infinitely long fin, because otherwise we will never be able to apply the value of infinitely long fin expression. So here you just remember the expression, if you just see the expression of Q fin in case of, let us consider insulated tip. Let us consider the case of insulated tip. If you remember, what was the expression of Q fin? This was the expression of Q fin, right? Now if you see the case of infinitely long fin, what was the expression of Q fin? This was the expression of Q fin. And if you compare these two expression, if you see these two expressions, you see if this tan HML is equal to 1, then this insulated tip fin can be considered as infinitely long fin. Then we have to find out, if tan HML is equal to 1, then what will be the length? Tan HML is equal to 1 definitely will give you the length to be infinite. But if we consider this tan HML is not exactly 1 but very close to 1, which say only 1% error, then it will be what? 0.99. Okay, so if we consider tan HML is equal to 0.99, that is definitely will be very, very small error in terms of rate of heat transfer. Then let us find out what is that L. And what you can see, that corresponding to tan hyperbolic ml is equal to 0.99, you are getting that length of the fin is 2.65 divided by m. divided by m, and I hope by the time you also remember what was m. M was root over h into p by k into AC. So this is what is m. So since you know all these things, so all the geometry and the material, so you can definitely find out what is the length that is, if that is there, you can assume that it is an infinitely long fin, and you can apply that formula. Okay. Or you can do in a more accurate way, if you want to reduce the error much, that you can consider that the theta by theta b, here you can see theta by theta b is equal to e to the power minus ml. As you know, this is the case for this is the case for infinitely long fin. This is the temperature distribution for the infinitely long fin. Now this, if you consider for infinitely long fin, if you consider that this quantity is almost equal to 0.01. Why we are considering this quantity is very close to 0? As if you are considering this theta b is close to is equal to 0. Okay, you are considering as if this theta b is close to equal to 0, because theta b was not theta b, sorry, very sorry, let me, what I mean to say is that at x is equal to L, at x is equal to L, definitely theta is at x is equal to L is what? T at x is equal to L minus T infinity, TL minus T infinity. This is equal to theta at x is equal to L. Okay. Now, if it is infinitely long fin, then definitely this TL will become what? TL will become T infinity. Okay. So, ideally, this quantity will become 0. Ideally, this quantity will become 0 when TL will become T infinity. So, but instead of 0, if we consider a very small error, and that is in terms of temperature, and that is 0.01. So, because this quantity 0 means this whole quantity is 0. Okay. So, theta L instead of 0, what we have considered, let us consider that theta L by theta B, it is not exactly 0, but 0.01. So, then this expression e to the power minus ml, now you consider this finite L and find out the value of L, and that you are going to get is 4.6 by m, just considering this part of the equation. So, that will definitely give some larger length of the L, but that will satisfy the temperature condition closely. But here also you can get error in terms of the rate of heat transfer. But I will prefer you need not to go to that more accurate long length, rather this much is sufficient. So, my recommendation is that you just consider the small error in with respect to rate of heat transfer. Okay, you just consider the small error with respect to rate of heat transfer such that tan HML is equal to 0.99. Okay, if you consider this quantity and find out what is the L. Okay, so this is what is the condition for the minimum length. If this is the minimum length, then you can consider that particular fin to be infinitely long fin. Okay. The next performance parameter is the fin efficiency, and the fin efficiency is defined as the maximum rate at which a fin could dissipate energy is the rate that would exist if the entire fin surface were at the base temperature. That means if you just consider this is a surface and consider that in that surface there is a fin in that surface there is a fin. Now if the base temperature is TB, and you know that actually what we observe is that gradually the temperature will decrease as you go along the direction of fin. Gradually the temperature will decrease. So if this T infinity we are considering is less than TB, which is outside air temperature or fluid temperature. So if we assume that this temperature is not decreasing, if the temperature is not decreasing, if we assume hypothetically that everywhere throughout the length the temperature is same, and that is TB. So TB is constant if we assume, then definitely through convection the rate of heat transfer will be maximum, because in that case only the temperature difference that through which the heat will be transferred will be maximum. So fin can transfer heat maximum if the throughout the length the fin temperature is same, and that is the base temperature. So in that case what will be the maximum heat transfer through the fin? So the maximum heat transfer that is possible is clearly that if the throughout the fin everywhere is temperature T. So you can write definitely using Newton's law of cooling that H into total area of the fin, because total throughout the area everywhere the temperature is same, and that is TB. So the rate of heat transfer will be that base temperature minus T infinity. So that will be the heat transfer in that hypothetical situation. The TB minus T infinity is written here theta b, and A fin is the total area of the fin considering all area of the fin, and H is the convective heat transfer. So this is what is Q max. And QF, by the time you know what is QF for different boundary condition, we have already derived the expressions for QF. Okay, so this ratio, and definitely this QF will be always less than the Q max. So our efficiency of the fin is defined that the actual heat transfer through the fin divided by the maximum possible heat transfer, and this maximum possible heat transfer is an arbitrary situation that happens if everywhere the temperature is same. Now one particular case has been solved, that if the tip is adiabatic, for the adiabatic tip what is the fin efficiency? For the adiabatic tip we know the expression for the efficiency expression for the Q fin is equal to root over HP K AC into theta b into tan hyperbolic ml, that is in the numerator, and denominator it is the maximum heat transfer possible if you assume throughout the fin temperature is same, and that is the base temperature. And as well as you are assuming that, and if this is the situation, then you can see this is the expression for the efficiency of the fin. For the adiabatic tip, this is the expression for the efficiency of the fin, that is tan hyperbolic ml by ml. Very very important formula for the fin efficiency, but remember this is true for the adiabatic tip condition only. And here this is not epsilon, this is eta. Eta means the efficiency of the fin, and this efficiency of the fin approaches its maximum and minimum values 1 and 0. It is clear that the maximum value it can be 1 efficiency, and minimum value it can be 0. So when this L approaches 0, L approaches 0 means if the length of the fin is 0, almost tending to 0, then there is a chance that the TB is not going to change, so efficiency is going to be 1. But if the fin is very long, then what will happen? There is a chance that the temperature will gradually fall from TB. So definitely this Q fin will be less and less with respect to Q max. Okay, so when the length will be infinite, then its efficiency will become, fin efficiency will become 0. So remember that effectiveness and efficiency are completely two different things, but both are measuring in some way the fin performance. Okay, but efficiency indicates that for a particular fin whether it is efficient or not, and fin effectiveness indicates whether in a particular situation applying fin is justified with respect to if the fin was not there or not. Okay, so these are the differences, and how to calculate the fin efficiency, that is the formula to find out the fin efficiency. Very important, you remember this final result for the fin efficiency for the adiabatic tip. Okay. Now approximation for non-adiabatic tip. Now this is very important that we have got the expression for the fin efficiency for the adiabatic tip, but if it is non-adiabatic, it is a general procedure to make somehow apply the formula for the adiabatic tip even if the situation is a non-adiabatic tip. So what is done for that? Here you can see in the first figure, this is a situation where the convection is taking place outside. So this is the case 1 that we have discussed, boundary condition. And in the second case, but we want to use this, this is, suppose this is the reality, in a real time this is the situation of the fin, but we want to use the adiabatic tip condition. Why we want to use the adiabatic tip condition? Because the expressions are very simple in case of adiabatic tip condition. If you remember the last expression for the heat transfer, or you can easily find out the efficiency, so that is why. So how can you approximate the non-adiabatic tip to adiabatic tip? Definitely, if you have to consider this non-adiabatic tip to adiabatic tip, you have to correct the length of the fin. Okay, so what is the difference between adiabatic and a non-adiabatic? Here you can see that if it is adiabatic, then what we can do, we just increase the length of the fin from the actual fin by this much. Here you can see this much of length has been increased, and now you make this part insulated. Why you have increased this part? Because if you increase this part, definitely some amount of heat will be transferred through convection from that length, and if that length through which the heat convection taking place is exactly same by the convection taking place from this surface, then these two situations will be equivalent. So that is why what actually has been done, that what is the amount of convection taking place through that area? That area is AC. Okay, so through that area AC convection is taking place. So what has been adjusted actually is that you have adjusted it by a length, say x, that has been increased. Here it has been that length x has been increased, and this x into perimeter, and that is basically the surface area. X into perimeter is basically the surface area. If you see this from this side, maybe this is the surface area, that is P. Okay, so that P into X, that is P into X, if you just consider like this, then you will understand clearly. Let us consider this is what is the fin. Okay, so what you have done actually, you just increased this much, and now you consider this end is insulated. Then what will happen? Basically, this is the area through which convection will take place. And what is that area? That area is nothing but, if you increase the length by x, that x multiplied by the perimeter, this is what is the perimeter. So x into P, and this x into P through which the convection will take place. But in actual situation, it is nothing but the area AC through which from the tip the convection was taking place. So this x into P will be equal to AC. That means the amount that you have to compensate or correct, the amount that you have to correct is basically, that you have to correct is nothing but AC divided by P. So what you have to do, if it is a non-adiabatic fin, in that case with its true length, you have to add AC, that means the cross-sectional area, divided by the perimeter, and that will be the corrected length. This LC indicates the corrected length. So that length after correction you have to use to find out the rate of heat transfer through the fin, or you have to find out that corrected length, what will be the efficiency of that fin. Remember, here we have started with a situation where the fin is non-adiabatic. So if a fin which is non-adiabatic, first you correct its length by adding AC by P with its true length, and use that corrected length to calculate its heat transfer and the efficiency. Okay? In the next lecture, we'll see transient heat conduction. Thank you.